Day from our Classic Rock Corner Prog series. Stay tuned for a tutorial on Yes's Owner of a Lonely Heart. And in this live stream, I will be concentrating on about 5 main concepts which will help you play it. And Instagram, people, if you want to switch over to YouTube or Vimeo, that will probably be your best listening experience. So I shall be right back.
Play like a pro at String Sound Studios.
Good day, Mike Violette here, String Sound Studios, and glad you joined us. And for you folks on Instagram, once again, switch over to YouTube. You get to see a little bit behind the scenes here when I'm switching things, but you can't see all the things I'm doing in the beginning with the startup screen, so that's why I'm like, shh. But glad you joined us, and here for another exciting lesson on Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes. And this is the early 80s. We'll talk briefly about the tune when Yes kind of made a change and they came up with some bigger commercial hits. Now, they're still progressive rock. This was probably one of their biggest hits ever. And this is when Trevor Rabin, the excellent, great guitarist and producer and writer, Trevor Rabin, joined the band. They did a great job. I believe the album is 90125. Yeah. So that's the album, 90125. So I mentioned that we will be doing a whole bunch of different concepts to help you play this song. So let's start out first with these root fifth octave type chords, bar chords. And we'll talk about that. Then we have extension chords with fifths. I'm doing some of these, funky things up there. If you heard that fill, that's never in the music, but I transcribed it, I think pretty good. So we'll get going. There's all kinds of different things in the song. I'm going to zoom in and show you how to play this. So let's zoom in and get going. I know you can't see that on Instagram. Once again, switch over to YouTube, String Sound Studios. You can see this better if you'd like to join that or just watch right there on Instagram and say hi. I can't see any of your comments on Instagram till later. However, I can, if you see the chat box up there, you're on YouTube, I can see your Facebook. We are multi-streaming, not just live streaming. Okay, I'm multi-streaming to a bunch of different platforms: Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Vimeo, and a few other obscure ones you may not have heard of yet. But they're up and coming. And of course, Instagram, but a little bit different. So there's chat box, and be sure to join us on, let's say, YouTube, String Sound Studios. And then you can ask me questions and things of that nature about the song or whatever you want, okay, pertaining to music. Let's get going here. Now, one of the first things we do when the opening is up, okay, is I got my tight drive on here. Very heavy, distorted sound. Nothing really difficult to play, but let's talk about what he starts out with. So we're going to do this, okay, just a simple A chord. And on this A chord, capo it, all right, that's another thing with the capo. When you capo is, we have a capo here, okay? So we want to, remember, we want to keep that close to the fret as possible. Okay? And when you're doing a capo, you want it flat and straight, or you can do a little bit of this angle here. Let me show you that. See that? Depends on what you're doing. My finger is angled up, so I got kind of this gap here, okay, this bridge, because I want to play with this part. So that's important for a capo. I'm close to the fret. I'm not back here. Okay? I'm not sideways or anything like this. I'm parallel with that fret. Okay? And when you're doing that, really only strumming, because this is the way he's doing this is a root, right? Here's your root. Here's your fifth, which would be an E. Okay? And there's your A. So he's really just doing these three strings here. The fifth, the fourth, and the third. Okay? And that's what he's doing on that chord. Now, rhythmically, not terribly rhythmically, you have that dotted quarter note. So it's like one, ba bum, ba bum. And one of the things I tell the students to do is play the bass line. There's so many different guitar parts in here and overlays. But you can just tune into the bass line, which they're also a guitar part, but Chris Squire's playing that on the bass. And to get that rhythm, sometimes it's easier just to play the bass note. So let's do that first. Here's our rhythm. And you want to hold that, right? So here's our rhythm again. It's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So I'm playing on 1. I have a dotted quarter note, a little bit syncopated. I'm playing on the and of 2, then 3, then 4, and I'm holding that. So let's do the bass note and play along with me if you're watching the video live or later on. Ready? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 2, 3, rest. Again. So he ties that over the second bar. I mean, you can rest the second bar, the second, third bar. He ties that into the fourth bar. All right. And remember, in the intro, you have kind of like a click track, 2, 3. On the looper, it is 3, 4. So he just comes in solo on the guitar. Well, let's do this with the bass. Then I'll show you the chords. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2. 2, 3, 4. Then he does that again. And notice you have a G in there also. So we're going to play that once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Band comes in, all right? Now I'll show you the chords. Here's our chords. Do the bass line. Must be hot in here. I don't know. Guitar's getting wet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go through those chords. We talked about the A chord before, and back to that. Then I decided to show you the bass line. Same rhythm. We have an A chord. Then we go to a B chord or a B5, root and fifth. Now there's a lot of ways you can do it. You could do it 1, 3, 4. I mean, I'm playing a full bar chord there. I like doing it with my fourth finger. But once again, I'm only strumming strings 5, 4, and 3. And with my pinky, I'm playing this. Or, if you choose, you could do it with your third finger. Or, you can do it this way. All right? See that? I don't know exactly how Trevor Eben plays it, but a lot of ways to play this. Whatever you're comfortable with in that sense. B. You should do it probably a few ways to get used to playing the chords like this, all right? Like this or like this. The main thing is you're only playing these two. So whether you choose to do a capo with this, all right, on your third finger or your fourth finger is fine with me. So there are alternate fingerings. I'm showing you alternate fingerings. All right, you got to choose one way before you do it another way. And I could do it a whole bunch of ways because I'm an experienced guitar player. Okay, anyway. Here we go. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. with some clicks in there. Now on the G chord, you're going to go outside. We're going to call these inside chords the way it starts off, right? Zoom out just a little bit. Feel that move over so you can see everything really good. Okay. So, inside chords because we're playing an inside root here. Okay? Inside is we're playing a 5th string root on all of these. Slide up. Then now it sounds to me like he slides to the C from the B. So just in this little intro that we spend so much time on already, which is fine, okay? I play the B, I slide, then I go to the D. And play that twice. So it sounds like it does. Instead of... Slide to the C, play the A, play the B, slide to the C, and now when you move, and this doesn't go for this tune, this goes for any tune. Remember to keep that thumb kind of behind your second finger when you move, okay? If you move up a chord, you don't want to have your hand up here and your thumb over here. And I'm meaning behind the neck because you can't see it, right? What I'm saying is if you move up a chord, you don't want to do this and twist your hand. That thumb has got to come up with your hand. You can't see it because it's below the neck. All right? So you got to get straight in your fingers, yes, in your hand. However, you don't want to grip the guitar too hard. All right? You want enough to move. And when you're doing this, if you're playing, you'll start to figure out, oh, what kind of tension you need. Of course, that has a lot to do with everything. What strings you're using, what kind of guitar you're using, all right? This is my 335, obviously, a Gibson ES 335. I'm using 10.5s, by the way, okay? So I don't like using really light strings. I feel I could bend enough with 10.5s or 10, or even 9s. It depends on what I'm doing. I don't like using 8s and things like that. They just go out of tune and snap. But that's me, you know? Plus, I really got some big bends there to do. All right, now, again, so we have this. Go to the G. All right, so the G is an outside chord. We talked, I got away from what I was doing before, but the other important points come up here, all right? Which is fine, you got to know all those things. So when I'm doing this here, you take a look. When I'm doing this, I have the A, right, B, and that's inside. All right, that's inside there. I'm trying to get this guitar so you can see everything better. Then I go outside to the G. All right, you could do this like this also. The G I tend to play like this. All right. I'm going to play the intro with the looper in a minute. But first, I want to take you into what that funky chord is, that bump that goes with the synthesizer and that drum cut, okay? And we're going to take a look at that. I'll zoom out a little bit and back up so you can see everything. So here we go. Now I'm coming from here. You hear that drum cut? And then this chord here. Now that's what I'm hearing. I would call this like a C9 sharp 11 chord. And let's take a look at what we're doing with that, all right? So, I have this here, 1. Right? And then I have this. C7, right? It's a form of a C7 chord. Then here, B flat, then a D here. So I got 1, 3, you see that? 3, 4 underneath it, and then 2. See that shape? 1, 3, 4. Let's get a better angle. And then 2. 1, 3, 4, 2. It's just a quick bump. Then he goes back to 5th position here. All right? So I'm moving around a bit, but I want you to be able to see all this. So I have this here. That's that riff. Watch. Go to 5th position. Play on your 4th string. 1. Right? This is 5th position. Remember position. 3, 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But don't count that way. The dots are odd numbers, right? 1, 3. 3, 5. So I have this 1, 3, and that's what we call a 16th note, right? To Mississippi. 1, 3. Not hard to play. It's just a little tricky to get from here. Grab this and go back to here. This chord's just like a splat. Pop. Along with the drums, right? Crack. Da 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 da. Right. Let me play it from. Zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna play it from the intro again. This way you can see what I'm doing here. And we shall do it with the looper. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then that comes in. So your verse comes in. Now, when your verse comes in, we're moving along now. So we talked about the root 5th octave chords. Okay, we talked about this kind of extension chord, fill, this fill. And now we're going to go into what he does over the verse part. Okay, VUMI today. All right, well, I don't know who that is. It's someone. Who's that? Cohen. Hey, Cohen, what's going on? Yeah, I saw you post something, and I was in the middle of speaking. Sorry. Glad you joined us. And if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. All right, let's go now. Anyway, we're going over to what he's going to do over the verses. Right? And these chords, the whole time you have these other chords going on that I play, but they're mentioned in the background or the bass line. So I mentioned before, we're kind of doing suspended 4ths and 2nds and 6ths over these chords and over that bass line, which is A, B, C, D, D. All right? And you'll take a look at what he does. Kind of interesting textural sound, and we'll show you how to play that. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to get rid of my, and I can put my phase shifter on so you can hear exactly what we do and see what we do. A lot of zooming in and out on this one. All right, one of the things, now what he's doing is this. So it's all like in 2nd position, or that's where I prefer to play it. You can mute it and do with a pick. I'm going to show you finger style, okay, here. You could also mute your fingers too, as well. But we'll talk about that in a little while. I want you to play the notes. So it says it's muted in the music. It doesn't have that much of a muted sound. I'm using a mini phase on this. The MXR mini phase 95 on blue. So I think that's more of a newer sound actually than the older one. So check out the mini phase. There's different ones. You can put it on red, which is supposedly more when the phase shifter came out later in the 80s and 90s, they used more of this sound that I'm using. By the way, this was in 81, 82, I believe, this song. So Yes kind of had that shift to that newer, more commercial sound, which worked out well for them. All right, but let's take a look at what we're doing. Now, I would set up like this, right? And your first riff is like this. Open A, then you jump up to the D, then G, and I'm keeping the G open, then the E here. I'm not playing an open E. I don't want too many open strings, then everything's ringing a little bit too much, okay? So I have the A, up to the D. Hear that? Let's do that again. This is over the bass line. Verse. So we have this. Now that's your first bar. Let's take a look at that. These are in straight eighth notes all the way through the whole verse. All right? So we have this. 1. So the second half of that bar is back to the D. Doing here, open A to the D, G, E, back to this. And I'm hammering this. You can pick it too. Some things I'm hammering, I can show you pull off too. Watch from the A. Later, I'll do the pull off. That's your first bar. So you can hammer this or play it, pick it. And remember, you don't play like this, obviously. I'm doing this so you can see this nice and big instead of looking all the way down by my pickups and all the way up here. It's hard to ascertain what the teacher is doing, especially on a video, when you have to look, your eyes have to look back and forth. All right? So I don't like all these split screen things, stuff that these people do. That's why I'm just zooming in and doing it this way. I get, it's good for some things. I'm not knocking anyone. I just choose to do it this way, and hopefully, you can give me some feedback on that. Mike, that's not good. Mike, I love it. Whatever. All right, watch. So you have this. Again, from the A chord. All right, now your next bar is this. And I'm pulling this off. Open D, D octave, play the fifth, which is the A. And that's over a D chord. Hear the suspended sounds though? All right. I pull this off to get that open G. Watch here, watch the pick. Here. Play. Third string. Pull off. And remember, when you pull off, this is important. I always talk about this. When you pull off, let's pull off and snap to the string. And when I pull off, I try to play more by my nail. All right? I don't want to play back here because then I'm just going to end up bending the string a lot. I don't want that. I want to play here so I can just roll right off that string. So my second bar is this. Let's do the whole bar now. So the last part of that bar is this. D octave. So that's just a D chord, root and fifth again. So here's my second bar, okay, of that verse phrase. 3 and 4 and. It's hard to play like this. 3 and 4 and. Again, 3 and 4 and. Right? So if I play the whole bar, the whole 2 bars, which you play over the verse, you have this. Oops. All right. Now I'll play it. I'm going to play it down here so I can play it a little better. I got my right hand down here. And hopefully you got all that. Of course, you can do that muted technique when you're just playing, with your right hand, you're just playing and you got the pick going and you're just using your wrist. All right? So, I'm going out of focus here a little bit. You choose how you want to do that. You want to do with pick. I felt that the best thing to do is keep it in second position gear. All right? Now we're going to go to the chorus part. We'll take a look at the chorus part. It's got some rich textural chords in here. So I'm going to zoom out, and you're going to get that fill. So this keeps going on all the way through the whole, verse. Right now I got my phase shifter on again. Okay, so I have the phase shifter on. I cut the distortion off. I'm using a tight drive. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, the effects. And I'm using the MIDI phase. I shut that down because you don't want a heavy sound over that. It's more textural. Take a look at that. All right, now we're going to go to some more kind of textural chords, open voicing type chords, very big and rich. So I'll zoom out and I'll go back because you want to see exactly what I'm doing here. I can get the whole 12th position in there. All right, here we go. Now, this part, when he goes into the chorus, there's a lot of ways to play this. Remember, there's a whole bunch of different guitars. I think if it's just one guitar, yeah, you can play it here. Or this. Da, 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 da. But I think the best sound, and you can play it up, you can play it all over, is here. And that's a fairly simple chord. All right, that's owner of a lonely heart. We're going to do that in a moment. Okay? Now, how do you play that? Well, as you can see, I'm in 5th position. When the chorus comes up, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to go back to 5th position, kind of where we did that riff before. I'll reiterate that point. Now, I have my 4th finger here, my 3rd finger here on the 4th string. That would be on this fret here, on the 7th fret, even though I'm in 5th position, I'm on the 7th fret. And my 3rd finger's here on the 4th string, on the dot, right? And then my 4th finger's right under that. So I have an A, that would be an A note, and a D. And then I'm going to put this right here, this E here, okay? So we have that, we have this, okay? This is, again, it's a suspended chord. You could call it an A sus4. You could also put the G in. You could also do it up here. I like it here, and the nice thing about that is we could double the notes. We could play the open A and do a nice kind of arpeggiated strum. We could do the open A, and then we have an A, another D. We have an E here and another E. Okay, and we have this sound. So you have this. Let's see, out of the way, you have this. After that, you move move up to 12th position here. So this is 12th position, all right? We're going to move to 12th position. Can move back a little bit, zoom out or zoom in. And we're going to play this capo here. So what I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit more so you can see it. And I play back a little bit. And you should be able to see this okay. What we're going to do is we'll come up, and this is, to me, is the best place to play this. And it's really the octave, a lot of that, the guitar is in. You can play it in different spots. So what you're going to do here is you're going to capo this. You're going to capo your 12th fret, okay? And then you're going to play, you're going to put your 4th finger on a D here, and this is going to play the E. So the capo is specifically for the G note here and the E. I guess you could do that even in harmonics. At least that. Okay. No, I don't want to do it in harmonics. So you're going to do this, capo. Remember, my capo is going to grab that note, and then my D here. So my notes are G, that's a D. I'm on the 15th fret, and that's an E. Okay? See that? But I need the capo. Again, a nice, you're going to arpeggio pick this. It comes in on the end of 1. So I have this. 2, 3, 4, 1. So how do I pick that? I play the E, the D. So I'm playing 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 2nd string. All right? So we have this here. You can see that. I can't see it that way, okay? Yeah. But I wouldn't do this. I do the capo because you want everything ringing. All right? So again. So you have this. 2, 3, 4, 1. Just hold this over and let the keyboard or another guitar player pick up the chord here and go 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. You want to listen to that section and all sections of the song. All right, so far we're going to review just a little bit and then we will move on because we have some octave playing to do, right? Well, I can do the solo. Maybe another live stream I'll do the solo somewhere. Hi there. Maybe another live stream I'll do the solo. I'll be here all day. I'm going to play a solo. I can do the solo because I don't know the solo. But I'll play a solo. I'm going to play the whole thing for you later. All right, so we're going to move on. There's a lot of ways to play. Now we're going to do some octave playing, right? And then again, I'll play the whole thing a few times. I'll play it up to the solo, then I'll do the solo. Let's talk about octave playing. When he goes to that bridge part, and I'm going to zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. This is Wes Montgomery style. Okay? Well, at least that's how I would play it. Now, let's talk about the octaves. You can play this up higher. I'm going to do it in 2nd position. You can play it an octave up also. I would say play it here, though. Okay? You can play it up in higher positions in A, 1, and in A here. Now, we don't want the C sharp, so this note's not being played. Notice I got a slight curve here, and I'm going to mute that note out. See that? See that? A, and then I'm muting this. And then my A here. So this note on the 2nd string won't be played. I'm basically playing this. All right. And rhythmically, what happens here rhythmically, all right, is it's groups of 8th notes and 16th notes. You're going to syncopate it. You come in on the end of 1. So it's 1. let's do that slow. 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Again, play a single note to get that line, right? And you can let it ring. However, you want to do that little bit of staccato in there because you have the rest, right? 1, rest, rest. And when you're resting that quickly, or you're clicking, you just have to release the tension of the string. Don't pull your finger off. It's like playing chords. All right? You don't want to just... Sometimes you want... cut things up, or any chord. I don't know, this chord, yeah. So you want to get a little cut up there. How am I strumming that? Well, West style, and I'm not using a pick for this, but you can do it with a pick. Okay? I'm just playing it from the 3rd string and strumming, not worrying about this because that's muted. So I'm lifting this up a little bit. 1. Rest. Watch the left hand now. I just release the tension, stay on the strings, and I rest that way. Press it back down. So your rest is here. 1. Rest. 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 So we're coming up on doing, most of the song. Remember, I'm not going to do the solo, all right? But I will play the solo. I want to go to before the solo and show you those breaks where you have that little drum solo. On my looper, I apologize, it's not there, but let me show you those chords, all right? And those chords are way up here, so we're going to have to zoom out. I can show you down low. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to show you where he plays that and how he plays that. All right, if you go to that break where it goes dun, 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 what we're doing here is we're playing this all the way up here, okay? In this position here. I think it's in, let me see. It's here, yeah. It's like 16th position, right? So the chord that you're playing, yeah. I mean, you can play it here. Right? We're going to play this all the way up here, and I can show you the fingering. I can show it to you down lower, if I can, okay? Or this. Yeah, it's this. So this here, it's like a G sharp 7 chord, right? And he's doing this up here. 1, 3, 2. Up in 16th position. So we have this. And remember, you're going to mute the 2nd string, right? Then he goes to 12th and goes. Then your solo comes in. You can't do it here. That'd be the same chord? I believe so. Okay? So we hear. So yeah, there's my E's and my F sharp. Yeah, that would be right. I can show you down here a little bit better because it's hard to see up there. Then you can transpose it up an octave. All right? So what we have here is, it's really a dominant chord. It's just like this little guide tone. Remember, it's all the way up here, though. However, I'll show you here, and you can transpose it up an octave. So we have 1, we have 3. Then we have 2 here. Okay? Take that and you can transpose it all the way up. Okay? If I go back here, I got to use open strings on that. Because it goes back to 12th here. So let's take that shape and we're going to move it all the way up to 16th position. So we have this sound. Then you go back to 12th, go up chromatically, okay? Then your solo comes in. So that's a little bit like some funky chords with the synthesizer, but the guitar, I believe, does play that, right? That's at least what I'm hearing. I'm hearing some guitar in here, and that's the all the drums going on there. So we talked about that as well. All right, so we did the Ruth Finn, the octaves in the beginning. We talked about that fill. Then here, we talked about the verse chords. We talked about the octave playing. And then we talked about those funky kind of splats that he does right before the solo. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back, okay? I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to play the whole thing for you. Or whatever. Remember the looper, folks, the looper it doesn't have that break in there. Let me get my phase shifter set up here and everything. Okay. So, all right. Get my effects and everything. No, before I do that, let me talk again about the effects I'm using. I'm using something called a Tight Drive Pro. All right. So it's an overdrive pedal. That's the sound I like for this. It's by Amp Tweaker. And of course that clicks on and off. I love Amp Tweaker stuff. You might want to check out their stuff. I'm also using a mini Phase 95. Amp I'm using a Morgan amp that's hooked up. I'm using my 2 Notes Captor X. That's something you might want to take a look at. And that's I guess it's kind of like a profiler, right? It's a cab simulator. So if you're not familiar with that I like that too. I might get a Kemper profiling amp one day. But right now, I'm happy with this setup that I'm using for live streams. And here we go. And of course, I'm using a looper. So I got the backing tracks on there. All right, here we go. I'll play the whole thing. I'll try to play solo in there as well. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3.
Move yourself. You always
there's the owner of a lonely heart. And I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I always enjoy doing these. That was a tricky one to do, and it's a great song. I hope you can learn from it, and please send us feedback. Call to action. Well, call to action is please join me for another live stream. Hopefully, I could do it next week. I got to apologize. I haven't done these in a few weeks. I'm here in New York. I was actually sick with kind of some virus. It wasn't COVID, I don't think. If you're watching this years from now, all the COVID thing, but it was pretty bad. And so I didn't do these for like that. Then we got bombarded with snow, and so I like to do these on Fridays. Sign up for my Play Like a Pro video courses, okay? You could get a great deal on those if you're a beginner or even an intermediate. Let's talk about beginner. Pure beginning guitar course. Great course for beginners, okay? Flat out beginners, I take you through everything. It's just very sequential, okay? Very thought out, as all my courses are. And then you could move to the beginning blues course and then the midway blues course after that. I also have a ukulele course, pure beginning ukulele course, right? So those are all the Play Like a Pro video courses. I plan to do more, but please buy those. And you can support this live stream by buying me a pick on my website there if you go to the live stream section. And you could donate, and that would be very helpful because I do these for free. So send feedback through all our social media. Please join YouTube. Please join Vimeo. Vimeo. It's a great platform, Vimeo. That's where all hosted videos are. All right, and all the other ones, Facebook, Instagram. You Instagram people are great. I have no problem getting feedback from you there. Not that the YouTube and Facebook people are bad. But please join all of them, and you can stay informed and see what we're doing, and send me your comments and things like that. Let me know what you would like, you would like me to do for you, and I'll do it. I like some more requests here. All right, so we shall finish up. If you're watching on Instagram, you're not going to see all this, but we're trying to do this, and it's my Play Like a Pro video, and I shall see you next time.
At String Sound Studio.